Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thanks again for joining me here. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Quick look here at Bitcoin, seeing what's going on. We're going to double check a few key factors in the back end too, with liquidation, etc. So if you're new to the channel, thanks again for tuning in. Obviously, make sure that you learn as much as you can with my trading university. CryptoCash.tech is the site. If you want some trade signals too, took some nice profits here. OGN 143%, DOT 70%, 253% from comp. Litecoin 65, 174% from SHIB, Solana 82, Crowcoin 46. These are all trades that came through just yesterday. Granted, some of them are older swing trades, but that's generally the concept. We have a nice, good amount of swing trades in the market, and yeah, they're very safe and effective. Low leverage, low position sizing. Those are 5, 6, 7x leverage. So when it comes to Bitcoin, let's go ahead and talk about this first here. I want to kind of get a foundation together here because we look at the last 7 days and things are getting kind of sporadic. So we used to have like heavier concentrations at like kind of general areas. Now it's more specific at these little tiny pinpoint locations, which basically tells us we have large amounts of liquidation at that specific level, implying that there's big money in the market in those certain areas. So when we kind of take a look here, we can see 55,300 is one of those areas. There is a area just below the price action 2. As soon as that lower wick came through at about 58,900, and then same thing as well upwards about 68,000. Okay, so a decent amount of shorts here into the market, but I can kind of side with those shorts too, because we kind of opened like kind of an arbitrary short, if you will, kind of just seeing if we can get some luck, honestly, because it's really in between a lot of these key level resistances, but there's not a lot of resistance above that 64,000 range. Like anything between 64 and 69 is up for grabs. So I really wouldn't be surprised if the price continues to run. So I think you want to be very careful shorting. The truth is, I would not recommend it. But on the same accord, this has to come to an end, right? And as I mentioned previously, we got these three white soldiers, typically followed by our fourth red day. Now, it could very well just be a red candle today that's like a doji, not a big deal, but generally speaking, that's exactly why we're seeing the price kind of taper off here, because you can only really push the price action for 72 hours or less in most cases. That's kind of the general consensus there. Is it a guarantee it's not going to stop? No, it just implies that we could see some kind of correction here soon, which would actually be healthy. We want to see that. Is that going to happen? Probably not, just based on the way things are going. Alts are just surging right now. And then we can also see, of course, Bitcoin dominance is on the rise. Okay, so these are all good, positive things here. And generally speaking, oh, sorry, that's not Bitcoin dominance. This is Bitcoin dominance. It's I meant to say it's falling down, which is why alts are increasing. Okay, now again, when it comes to CME futures, we can kind of look here, see if there's any gaps. I really don't see any here so far. Of course, there's a small gap that already got filled back here from Wednesday, but generally speaking, there's not a whole lot here to report as far as reasons for the price action to pull back. Now, if you do look at, again, let's just go ahead and start with the daily and work our way down. We're overall moving averages. We've known this for a while. It'll be like that for a moment. When we take a look at liquidity, we can see that previous liquidity levels have been swept. There is some fair value just below the current price action, down as low as about 58,000. So that is half the reason why the price action could pull back to fill that gap. Those gaps are commonly filled over time. Now, again, there's been a few in the recent past that just nobody even cares about. There's even a fair value gap down at 40,000. That matters nothing right now, right? So again, no guarantees that's going to get filled, but statistically, those are probabilities, right? If we take a look at TD Sequential 2, we're in a fourth green day effectively since the consolidation here at about 52,000. And essentially, we are not in a position right now where the price action is, really, it still has plenty of momentum, and there's really no reason to expect it to drop. Even though statistically or logically you would like to think that it would, it's probably not going to because of those reasons, right? So if we take a look here at MACD, still converging, of course, macro is going to be very, very bullish. There's no other way around it. Stochastic is still swinging up. Until it starts to hit a bit of a shelf there, we have no reason to consider the price going to turn around. We can also see, of course, RSI at about 88. We haven't seen RSI in the 88 range in quite some time. It peaked out back in October when the price action was back here when we saw 88 from price action. Bitcoin had jumped from 30 to 35,000. Remember that was a big day, right? Nowhere near as big as right now, being up 10% in one candle from yesterday. So again, a lot of interesting stuff in the market, but the truth is everything's truly bullish on the macro. Really hard to identify any shifts in momentum. We do look at the smaller time frames. This is where things are starting to kind of become more real in certain ways. In other words, we hit this 9 on TD Sequential, consolidated at 57,000, got a slight reset, but not really. Price wakes up, get all sorts of nonsense from a lot of exchanges kind of shutting down temporarily, and then of course the price continues higher from here, right? So Tons of money is flowing into this coin. As we can see, volume is just staying extremely high. Until that dissipates, there's no reason to expect the price to pull back. However, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're now 10 candles into this continuation here, and the previous one was also 10 candles. Okay? So what that basically just implies for us is we had 40 hours of continuation, slight consolidation. 40 hours of consolidation, 40 hours of continuation. Is there going to be consolidation at this level? That's kind of the concept, right? And it very well could consolidate and leg up again. But the truth is, we have seen roughly 72 hours of continuation with 3 white soldiers. The general concept here is that a pullback would make sense. But based on everything we're seeing here so far, there's no reason why a pullback would actually happen, too. That's the crazy thing about this. We can see stochastic RSI swinging up here now, starting to converge again. We can see RSI's up over 70, well over 70, it's at 85 again. And then of course, money flow index, look how freaking high that is. That is the reason why the price action is staying. Okay, tons of money flowing into Bitcoin. And you can say the same thing for about most altcoins too. They have really high money flow index. So 4-hour time frame looks still very bullish. There's no other way around it. Hourly time frame, let's see if this is kind of slowed down or if there's any consideration for selling. If we take a look at Ichimoku Cloud, we're getting close to the price action. In other words, this lagging span getting close to intersecting does imply that the price could essentially pull back, or more so what that tells us is that the consolidation or the likelihood of the price action pulling back is a little greater, and that you should consider taking profit when that lagging span intersects. But again, conversion line's well above the baseline. We haven't even bothered to retest the cloud itself. That's now consolidating about 61,000. So as I mentioned yesterday, 60 to 61,000 is a strong likelihood of support level for us based on volume, but also previous daily and weekly candlestick closures. That's what these blue lines are on the chart, by the way. They're not just arbitrary lines. They're weekly candlestick closures, a couple of dailies, but mainly weekly candlestick closures from months ago or year and a half, 2 years ago, right? Back in 21/22 when the price was coming back down. These are weekly resistances. So they're important levels to know, 60 and 61,000. I think the bottom is tentatively in, and that it's going to take a lot to get the price action back below 60K. So it's a kind of a bummer if you didn't fill your spot bags, right? Again, I hope you were watching me back in the 40,000 range, because I was advising that was highly likely, a good area to get in. Again, hindsight's 2020. I'm not here to say I told you so, but I am just reaffirming the fact that consistently adding to your spot bag is a good call, whether or not the price going up or down. Okay. And I'll admit, I regret not getting in too much in the 50s, because we spent literally minutes in the 50,000 range almost, it feels like, right? So once more, hindsight's 2020, folks. It's all good. So what are we doing moving forward here? Well, I'd consider setting some limit orders so the price doesn't end up pulling back for your spot bag. Otherwise, I would not recommend taking a short at this point. And then obviously just making sure that kind of, I wouldn't say focus on longs, but generally speaking, you're going to be much more successful taking longs in the market, as you can see here. But again, is it FOMO now that if you try to get in? Truth is yes, but I think we still got a lot more gas left in the tank, especially if Bitcoin can maintain this range. Just know if there's a slight correction from Bitcoin, altcoins are going to correct themselves a lot harder. So please be aware of that. Just make sure you secure your profits, adjust your stop losses higher, etc., that whole thing. Other than that, we're all having a great time here with Bitunix. Make sure you use the link down below to register if you haven't already. Phenomenal exchange, no KYC, VPN required. Highly recommend them. They are phenomenal, specifically for our community members that are located in US and Canada. That's the main reason why we use them. Also, congrats on to our community here for a nice little OP short. We got in and out and closed that trade. So all's well, folks. Thanks again for watching. Hope you have a great rest of the day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.